Hello and welcome back. This could be considered, or will be considered, I guess, like a part two of our little thing here because I thought it correlated nicely and it's an interesting story. This story, as I heard it in a lecture, was given by Lieutenant Colonel Craig Roberts, and he wrote the excellent book Kill Zone, A Sniper Looks at Dealey Plaza. Well worth reading if you're into the Kennedy assassination, John Kennedy, Vietnam and what went on over there. And Craig Roberts has a long history of law enforcement. He was in law enforcement for many years, retired out of that. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he speaks a lot on that. And anyway, this story. So Craig Roberts was in, I believe, Dallas, somewhere in Texas in the summertime, for a police convention. And the police like these conventions. They go and give little awards for hero of the day or whatever for the year. I mean, they have conventions all the time. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there are some good policemen, some. I believe Craig Roberts to be one of these guys. Anyway, so he's in the South in the summertime, somewhere in Texas, and he's getting ready to go to this convention. And they're going to have dinner and the awards ceremony and all this jazz. So he's getting ready to go, and it's just, I mean, he's a bigger guy anyway, a little heavier than he should be probably. And so he's always kind of a little bit warm. But this night he was like, he just could not get comfortable. The air conditioner's firing away, and he's just like almost intolerably warm. He's worried about sweating through his dress clothes. You know, he's got the tie and the button-up shirt and everything before this this convention or whatever. It's just so warm. And he sits down on the bed in the hotel and looks down, notices his shoe is untied, and so he bends down to tie the shoe. And the next thing he knows, he's laying on his back and has this vision of these doors closing and the sunlight, the hot summer Texas sun, shrinking down through the doors. And the next thing he knows, he's in a completely darkened room, save for one light bulb hanging down, like the old keyless pull chain light bulb, you know. And he's sitting in a chair, and the first thing he notices is that he's at the perfect temperature. He's not hot anymore. Not too chilly, not too hot. I mean, it's just perfect. And he's sitting in this chair, and he's kind of trying to get his bearings. He can't really see anything else in the room. He just knows he's sitting in a chair. Well, there's a man behind him. But he's not scared. Craig Roberts isn't. And the man behind him said, "We're just waiting." He's not scared of the man. He doesn't need to make eye contact with him. He's perfectly comfortable sitting in a chair, and we're just waiting. As if he knew he was on his way to somewhere. And it was like a decision had to be made. And he's just, okay, we're just waiting. He's not scared at all. He's not anxious. He's not concerned about anything, even though this whole scenario is really strange. And so we're waiting. And then he gets to thinking about it. And he's like, who is this guy behind me? He's not worried. He's not concerned. He's incredibly comfortable just waiting. And he gets to thinking back on his childhood. And you know how it is. Sometimes when you're a kid, you get in dangerous situations, doing stuff usually that you shouldn't be doing, or being places you shouldn't be. Or you're up high in a tree and the branch is creaking because it's rotten and you didn't know that, but you're already out on it, that type of stuff. And he knew that this guy was with him in that moment. And then we fast forward to Vietnam. And Craig Roberts was in Vietnam. And he said, when I was in the foxhole, and it's just blood and guts, and the bombs are raining down, and men are dying and screaming, and it's just chaos. And he was scared, and he admitted he was scared. And obviously you would be, I suppose. And this man was with him. And he realized, he said, "You're Joe." And the guy behind him just kind of laughs, says, "Yeah, I guess so." And in Craig Roberts' estimation, Joe was his guardian angel. He was with him in the difficult times of his youth. He was with him in the foxhole in Vietnam. And now he's with him here. But he's standing behind him, and we're just waiting. We have to just wait. And it's fine. It's completely calm. No, not anxious. Perfect temperature. just waiting. And he said this whole thing in this room with Joe, just waiting. It took maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then he came to in a hospital room with machines all tied to him and pulse monitor and the beeping heart rate, all that jazz. And he can't get out of bed. And what had happened was he reached down to tie his shoe earlier and had some kind of massive, I don't remember if it was a heart attack, some kind of heart issue. Like I said, he's a heavyset guy. All that with the heat, you know, and he just couldn't get comfortable, and all it's probably signs that something was about to happen. You know, your heart is malfunctioning, you're not feeling well. And the doors closing were the back of the ambulance and the sun shrinking down. And then he realizes he's in this room waiting with his guardian angel, waiting to go somewhere, and a decision has to be made. In that room, you know, 5-10 minutes, finally Joe tells him, the man behind him, he says, all right, you have to go back. You need to go back. And he didn't really want to go back. He didn't even know really to go back where. He just knew that he was comfortable, and whatever the other choice was, he wanted to do that. He didn't want to go back to whatever back was. Well, going back was back, apparently, into his body. I don't know. He woke up in the hospital room in real life, and he was back. And then doctors and nurses, and, you know, they're explaining what happened. You have this massive heart, whatever. And in real life, his 5 or 10 minutes in this room with Joe actually lasted about 3 days. They do know, scientists know that the brain has activity even after the heart stops. I mean, they've somehow been able to measure this stuff out. For 3, 5, 7 minutes, depending on the person, your system is shutting down. So, could this be a hallucination, or the system is shutting down, or this Joe in this room, you know? If the system is shutting down, why would your brain be inventing new scenarios or visions? Was Joe his guardian angel? Craig Roberts says he was. I kind of believe he was. And there's a million of these stories, what they call near-death experiences, and all of them seem to be a little different based on the individual. Now, is that the brain shutting down? I don't know. It's possible. This decision that has to be made, is that the decision of you're going to die your earthly life and go on to whatever punishment or reward you receive? Or the decision to, no, it's not your time yet? I don't know. I tend to believe Craig Roberts. I think Joe was probably his guardian angel. It's interesting things happen between life and death. And the interesting part is that the things that bothered you so bad and weighed on you so heavily on this earth, at that crucial time, when the game's over, none of those things matter. Like I said, won't that be a glorious day when that time comes, for some of us anyway. I'd like to think I'm one of those. I don't know. I thought the story was interesting. Craig Roberts also wrote a book. He's written several police type books, and then he wrote a book called The Medusa Files, which I have not read, but I've read the description of it. It looked incredibly interesting. I'd like to read it. Anyway, I thought I'd bring the story to you. I thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd tie it in with our little theme here of angel or hallucination. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time.